You're closer than you think you are. And if you're seeing this is your confirmation. A lot of times we want to pull back shortly before we get to where we want to go. And it can be exhausting sometimes. But you got to remind yourself that every time you set yourself on a journey of creating something new, becoming something new, stepping into a new version of yourself, upgrading your identity, you will feel resistance. Because the old self, the old version of you, will try to get you back to where you used to be. And if you're not aware, then you can slip and just spiral down and get back to the same loop and get back to the same place where you started before. So you have to just notice that part and have a conversation with him or her. Because the truth is you have multiple parts inside of you. And some people tell you have to kill your old self in order for the new self to come through, you know. But you can't kill your old self. It's not possible. Because the version of you from the past year, the teenage version of you, the child version of you, they're all still living inside of you right now. So instead of trying to kill them or eliminate them, you will have to integrate them. And how do you do that? You have a conversation with them. You just identify what they are trying to communicate with you. Because what I did in the past, every time when I felt this resistance, I just pushed through. And sometimes you got to push through. Sometimes you got to embrace the resistance and do it anyways. But what I've learned from my experience and with the people I've worked with, it's way better to establish a form of integration with that resistance. To notice when it's coming up and to ask yourself, okay, what is this trying to communicate with me? What's there? What's that feeling? To identify that feeling first. Okay, there's a feeling of sadness. There's a feeling of grief. There's a feeling of unworthiness. And then you just imagine yourself, then you imagine this feeling or this emotion that you feel as a person. And you literally can create whatever you want in your mind. You can create an image of or give it a name. You can use your imagination to literally create a person. And when you then imagine a person standing in front of you, just ask yourself, what is this trying to communicate with me? Because maybe behind that resistance, there's just a fear of being seen. There's a fear of being rejected. There's a fear of not being accepted, of not being appreciated. You know, there are many different fears, or fears of the fear of not being true to yourself. And sometimes these fears and these resistances are actually protecting you and protecting you from something that's not aligned. But in many cases, even if it's aligned, you will still feel a resistance. Because some people just tell you, oh, you got to align it and everything flows. Yes, but you still have to go through that process of integrating this new way of living. And then when you get to the next stage, you will feel resistances again. It's a never-ending process. And you're constantly evolving and constantly expanding. But you have to be aware of what's happening inside of you. Because the more you suppress this part, the harder it is and the more exhausting the work feels. It's important to take action. Don't get me wrong. I'm not telling you to just sit back and do nothing and just hope that things are going to magically unfold like that. But sometimes you also just need to step back and observe for a moment what's happening instead of rigidly pushing through. And then you can, once you've done that, you can get back into it and take massive, inspired, fiery action again. But if you're coming from a forceful action and you feel this resistance and you feel this exhaustion and you push through it, you just make it worse. And then you come to a point where you feel burned out or where you feel no joy for what you're doing, where it feels robotic, where it feels rigid, and where the thing that you actually started because you loved it all of a sudden becomes this new 9-to-5 blue-collar job that you wanted to escape. Especially for people who are in business, you know, or also with creation, with art. Because what matters is that you still enjoy the process. Of course, there will be difficulties, some challenges, but if you align yourself with those parts, if you integrate them inside of you and listen to what they have to tell you when these resistances arise, then you can move through those challenges, through those difficulties with more ease. Not saying that it's easy, you can move with them in a state of more ease, you know. But you still have to embrace that discomfort, because in that discomfort lies your growth. And in that discomfort, like if you go through it, that's where you get to the next level of comfort. But you should always try to stretch yourself a bit, because that's the beautiful thing about being a human being, that we are constantly evolving and that we have the power to evolve and create. And when we resist this evolution, when we resist our growth, that's when we suffer the most, because then we know, hey, I can be more. That once something wants to come out, but I don't let it out. Something wants to be expressed for me, but I don't let it because I'm afraid. Because I'm afraid of the judgment, the ridicule, whatever it is, you know. So if you're in a process of doing something, of creating something, then remind yourself that you're closer than you think, and don't pull back, but just observe what's happening inside of you. Embrace those parts, integrate them, communicate with them, listen to what they have to say, and then also suggest that you find a better alternative that serves this positive intent that this part has for you. Because it always has a positive intent, even if you don't see it. But if you keep on fighting against it, it will always feel like you're in a constant battle. And even when you get to the point or achieve the thing that you are setting yourself out to achieve, you will still be afraid that the old part will catch up and get you back to where you are, and then you're constantly running away from yourself. So it's better to integrate it and to see it as a child that you are taking care of, because you are the parent. You are the one who's watching over them. And with your inner child, or if you have a child, if you have a child, then this is literal. But if you don't have a child, then imagine yourself being a parent. You don't want to be the parent who never lets it play and refuses it to have fun and just be at home all day and do nothing, right? You don't want to box it in. But at the same time, you don't want to give it control over you so that it takes you by the nose and leads you to, like, just causes all of this chaos, because you don't have the authority to say, hey, enough is enough. I'm here to guide us. And you also have to listen to me. I listen to you. I honor you. We can play a bit. I want you to have fun. But at the same time, there has to be some discipline. There has to be some groundedness to the whole process. I hope that makes sense. And when you remind yourself that you are not the hurt child inside that needs to retreat and do all of these things, that because these wounds most of the time come from the childhood, these resistances often come from the childhood, not just from the childhood, also teenage years a lot. But when you listen to that and then notice, okay, like, that's there, but you show up as the adult, as the parent that says, hey, I see you. It's okay that you feel this way, but I'm here now, and I take us to where we want to go. And when you talk to it like this, you will see it's much easier for you to advance. Because if you ignore it, then it will start controlling you, and it will get you back to the same patterns that you used to have before. And on the other hand, if you let that fun, that joyful part inside of you out, you will have more energy for everything else you want to do. And you want to bring this inner child, this happy child inside of you, to the things that you do, even if it's boring things. If you can bring this inner child out and say, okay, let's play, let's make this fun. And instead of, like, for example, me, when I go to the gym, I see, like, being on the playground using these toys that I play with. And if you make the hard things fun and see it like that, like changing your thoughts and your beliefs about it, then it becomes more enjoyable as well. But it's a balance, you know. Like, you have at one point, at one side, you have to give it some. You have to be the one who has some authority over what's happening within, but at the same time, you have to allow the inner child inside of you to play. So even if you just allow yourself to do something that's out of the box, that's not super productive, that can help you as well to get back to that flow state that you desire, you know? And then everything else starts to become more enjoyable. But again, no matter where you are, every time you want to get to the next level, there will be some resistances, and you just got to pay attention to the parts inside of you and what they're communicating with you. And if you do that, then you will be able to advance and to actually follow through with what you set yourself out to do. And then the next thing is up. But it's a never-ending process, and the more you just integrate the parts inside of you, the more you remind yourself that you're whole and complete as you are, and that you have everything it takes. It's just like a little fear. But you then take the fear and be like, okay, this is a little baby that just needs some nurturing. And you hold it and you transform it into power again. So remind yourself you're closer than you think. Keep going. If it's something that's in your heart, if it's something that you love, don't let the fear stop you. Listen to the fear, find its message, find the part inside of you, and then integrate it by telling it that you're safe, that there's a better way to fulfill that positive intent that it has for you. So yeah, I hope this could help you. If you need something that helps you with that, I've created a tool called the Root Pattern Decoder. It helps you to identify the hidden beliefs that are in conflict with what you say that you want, with what you want to create. Because like I mentioned here, a lot of times we have conflicting beliefs that are in conflict with what we say that we want. And that's what holds us back. And if you don't see them, then they control you. And this tool that I've created helps you to identify what those beliefs are, and that you can start transforming it so that it no longer runs the show, but that you can use it and turn it into a power instead of a weakness. So you can get that in the link in the description. And apart from that, I thank you for being here. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. And remind yourself, you're closer than you think. I'm Law Aru, and this is The Way of Law. One love.